That's the right side.
What? The left is the right side, Jimmy?
If you're looking in the engine.
Oh, it depends where you're looking from.
Yeah.
I don't know. What? The left side of the car is not always the left side of the car.
Depends which way you're facing. Okay guys, welcome back to Revamp. In this video, which will be one of a few videos on the plumbing, we'll show you all about the tank that we've put in, wired it up, cleaned it, how we mounted it in. So before we get ahead with this video, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody that subscribed and liked all our videos. I think we're just about to hit the 1100 subscribers mark, so fantastic. Really appreciate all the support. And if you haven't already liked and subscribed, go and hit that button now and hit the notification button so you get every video when it comes out as soon as it comes out. Alright guys, well, we'll get straight into that and we'll show you some footage of what we've done with the part 1 video of the tank going in.
Right. Fuel tank for the 1 tonner is fabricated aluminium drop tank style tank, and we had this fabricated from a guy in Tasmania, and it's got baffles inside. It's roughly 100-ish litres, breathers, returns, fuel sender, all that stuff. Now, we did start to polish this tank, had a few marks on it, and I'll show you that footage now.
So we've got Toby over here fixing up the drop tank, giving it a bit of a polish. We'll have a look at what he's done. Okay, so it starts like this. It's got minor blemishes in it and scratches. We're not going to worry about underneath because, well, one, we won't see it, but we do want to do this part where we can see, and the back piece. We're also doing the sides. So we started with a 320, then we've gone to a 500.
We've got nothing between.
We've got we've got an 800 we can go to, and then a 3000 we've got.
Getting pretty smooth.
Okay, so that's 800. Yeah. It's definitely smooth, although it still looks rough. It's definitely smooth. So, okay, so we're just on the top with the 3000. I mean, you can already see the difference. It's starting to shine up, and you can see what's left of the 800. So, a couple of quick rub downs with those different grades of paper, and then we'll finish it off with.
I'll use
purple polish.
No, I'll probably use something a bit hard, like auto salt first.
Yep.
Which is like the consistency of thick toothpaste.
Yep.
Coarse toothpaste. And then we'll switch to the purple polish to give it that finish, end finish. But it's coming along.
Definitely see the difference in.
It's gonna need more polishing than it does sanding. I can tell you that now.
So this is what we're going to use. Let's get it the right way around so they can read it.
Just to start with.
Metal polish, auto sol,
foam pad.
Just put it on and away you go.
Start off slow.
So you can see it's starting to come up just with the first polish of auto sol.
Depends what finish you want too. If you want a real mirror finish, you'd probably go to different finer sandpaper.
Okay, so we've started off with the auto sol, and we've just put a bit of purple polish on it, and it's come up pretty much what we wanted. We don't want a mirror finish, we kind of want a satin finish on it, so it actually worked out pretty bloody well.
To get that to a mirror, you'd be here all day, you know, and you'd have to spend a lot more time on all your fine sandpapers and stuff. I'm just using a microfiber cloth to go over it at the moment. This one's getting a bit dirty, but
no, look, this is the finish we wanted, and very happy with how it turned out. So she can go back in the car shortly.
Alright, so you can see we started to polish the tank. we're starting to get a bit of a good look to it. We didn't want a super shiny look to start with, just for, you know, reflective surfaces on the back of cars and that kind of thing could be an issue, as well as we didn't want it to stand out too much. So as a lot of people will know, the polishing process can be quite in-depth and take quite some time. We're only really looking for the two surfaces that you mostly see, but even that was going to take us a lot of work and a lot of time, and we weren't really sure that a fully polished look was what we were looking for anyway. So powder coating, it's what Jimmy does, so why not showcase what he does and powder coat the tank. So this is done in a nice flat black. You can see that it's not super shiny, but it's not real dull matte finish. And this coating is fuel resistant and quite hard, so it's quite hard to scratch and that kind of stuff. So we've got to have a little bit of polished. So we have polished the stainless straps. Obviously they'll get a rubber on them as well. So that's where we're going to start in this video, with that, putting the tank in, the rubber straps, and we'll move on to connecting up the fuel pumps and all that kind of stuff. The fuel pumps have got a nice little mounting system on the back of the tank there. So let's get on with that. So I've got this plate that goes on the back, on the front of the tank, sorry, here, and that holds our fuel filter and fuel pump. So I'm just going to put all that together. So we've got our sending unit in, fuel pumps mounted on, fuel filter connected up to our pickup point, dash 10, we're going to run dash 8 outlet, just running dash 10 inlet because it all matches up nicely. So that tank's ready to go in.
As Toby has said, we did decide to go on powder coating it. It's come out a lot better than what I thought. Nice and smooth. I think the polished straps will look good on the black, and we won't have any problems with reflection for people behind us in the sun, being a mirror tank. So yeah.
And it suits the theme of the ute, black on black on black.
Black on everything. So yeah, really happy with how it turned out. So we're going to put it in now and we'll have a look how it turns out once it's in, see how it sits.
Ready, I'll bring it down a bit.
Yep. Slide the strap in. Like that. That's it.
Alright, so reset. We had to make a couple of adjustments to the strap for some clearance and that kind of thing, and just basically get our method down, how it's going to go together. So hopefully this time around, tank in. I don't know if I'm going to have to put this end in first. While we've got it in, we end up turning the camera off because I would have just had to bleep too much of it out. It ended up quite a bit more difficult than what we originally thought, but it's in there. So tank's in. We sort of tighten the straps up, but we've got the nice polished straps with that flat black tank. Looks really good. Looks good from the side. We don't have exhaust run out here, so you'll hardly see that anyway. And then we've got our fuel system in the back here on the panel. So we need to do a fuel filler here when we do the tray, once we figure out the height of the tray. But you can see that it's in.
Thank God she's in. It was a little bit of an effort. We had to do a few adjustments.
And it was a lot more difficult than I planned. A lot more difficult. They look very easy to be straight.
Yep, they look straight. It sits on nice. It doesn't stand out. I think we put it in the right height. Next thing will be the tray and the filler cap.
Yep.
We've mounted that plate that we made to hold all the fuel system on it. Fuel pump, fuel filter.
Right, now we've got our tank in. Straps are all tightened up. It's looking good. The next thing is start connecting up our lines to it. So we've got a return line here. This is our dash 8 supply line. So what we're going to do, because you can get some debris inside these lines when you make them, we want to I'm just going to use some brake cleaner. Get some brake cleaner down. That's our return line. And then the supply line, we're actually going to do it backwards. So that anything stuck in the filter, we can blow out backwards. Take care of this return line first. We're right to hook our fuel system up on this end. This one here is going to be our tank breather. Where it connects to on the other end we'll get into later in the video. But for now I'm going to connect this up. What do we think? Impressions?
I think it looks fantastic. I like the colour. The straps look good, polished. The fuel system looks amazing. It's lined up now. Good job.
I'm glad this time that you're pleased with something wasn't full of expletives.
Well, you can beat that out because it's a fucking good job. And it looks good too. Really, really happy with how it turned out. Nice and neat. So I guess the next thing we move on to is...
We'll button up the fuel system in the front, is where we're going to move to next.
Perfect. Good job. You're going back to the office.
As usual. Right, so next thing is we blew the lines out, blew the return, and we blew the feed line out. Let it connect up to our regulator here. Now you also see this line here. That goes to a sensor for our Holly dash. So we're going to connect up the plumbing to that as well. We've also got to do the feed line from the regulator here, just here, around to here. So that's going to be running around here. We'll connect these up, we'll make up a line, and realistically that should be the fuel system 99.9% finished. We've also got to put something down here to clamp the insulated fuel hoses away from the exhaust. So we've used a silicone heat sleeve there just to insulate the exhaust system and the fuel system as it comes past here. Now, braided line and AN fittings, they can be problematic to put on, they can be quite easy to put on. A lot of people have problems with it. There's a couple of different ways to cut your AN hose, or your braided hose. One is what we're going to use today is basically thin cutting disc on an angle grinder. That's how a lot of people have done it for a very long time. You do have to be careful of fraying of the braid. So what I do is I wrap electrical tape either side of where I'm going to cut. Now you want that cut to go through rather quickly. You don't want to be sit there for ages overheating the hose too much. The other way is with a pair of shears. That's the way most people do it these days. But that can also be problematic in pinching the hose and making it difficult to put a fitting on. So, just to be quite frank and honest, you're going to get stabbed in the fingers. There's no real way around it. It's probably going to happen. You can use gloves if you want. But we're just going to cut this. We're going to test fit it back on the car with the fitting we're going to put on this end. Put the fitting on, fuel system basically done. Now I like to use a little bit of the thread sealant. I use it as a thread sealant and as a lubricant. So I just put a tiny bit there and a tiny bit there. Stops your threads binding up and also helps you push it into the hose. There you go, that thread's started. Now, all we need to do is just tighten up those two nuts there and flush the hose back out, and then we can put it on the car. Preferably you do want to use your AN spanners or your AN adjustable spanner and some aluminium jaws. I don't have any of them here today, but I've done enough of them I can be careful with normal spanners to get away with it. And there you go, one AN fitting on, and we'll flush that out. We're just going to use some brake cleaner. We'll flush that out and then we can put it on the car. We might try and find a nicer clamp later on since it will be visible, but There's your AN hose cut and fitting put on. Like I say, like to use a little bit of that sealer. That particular one's Aeroflow sealer, but I'm sure Speedflow, Earls, all the brands have their own sealer. And not just for sealing, lubricate those aluminium threads as well. So let's flush it out, get on the car. Just putting this final fuel hose on. I've showed you how we cut the hose, put the fitting on. So now I've washed it out. And we can put the fitting on, if I can see it, over here.
That actually looks really good.
So that's it, basically fitted up. We've got our 120 degree fitting, so it comes nice and close here. All the way over here, bracket here to stop it from falling down, maybe on the distributor or anything like that. And it's okay to use the rear blower bolts as mountings. They're plenty long enough. Just make sure that you do them up tight enough, because they are quite tight when you do them up. And hey, guess what?
What?
That's the fuel system finished, apart from the breather tank, which we're still waiting for. So the main fuel supply system and return system, done, finished. So we can move on to probably radiator next. So we'll show you that. All right, so there you go. You saw us put the tank in, we made up some fuel lines, flushed some fuel lines out, and the fuel system is now 100% buttoned up. The one thing we were waiting for was that breather tank. I will explain those a bit more when we actually get to talking about all the breather tanks for the car, including like the engine breather. So we've got the nice braided lines and fittings, and it's basically ready. We can put fuel in it. So if you want to see more of these plumbing videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button. If anybody else you know is doing this kind of project, let them know. They might get some tips as well. And I'll see you in the next plumbing episode, where we're going to look at the radiator.